Welcome to the Real CP Show. I am your host, CP. In today's topic, this violent border breaking illegal immigrant male from Honduras, a rapist. You hear the word in that, of a adult male in New York. And then he tried to flee back to the southern border. And when I heard about this story, I was like this. I'm like, we're just going to pretend that these violent border break illegal immigrants are supposed to have this protectionality in however politicalness and entities and organizationally are supposed to just pretend that this type of demon needs to be among people in society. And see, in the title, I made sure not to put a rapist of an adult male because it's automatically assumed when you hear the word rap, you know the word I'm talking about. A rapist of someone is usually thinking the victim is a woman. But I don't want to go into too much of that. That's a whole different topic in itself. That's minimized that males that get robbed. The thing about it in this situation, this demon creed fish dung border break illegal immigrant sat there and robbed an intoxicated male behind his restaurant by a dump or trash particular place by this restaurant and robbed him. And you didn't hear too much about this story. And what makes it also extra insulting because you got numbers of people that keep talking about defund ICE and they keep thinking that Black Americans collectively are supposed to sit there and fight for someone like this. It's like this insulting that they say Negroes ain't gonna even understand. Yes, that's what they're doing on that situation. Yes. 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 Instead of more being like this, related to this border break illegal immigrants.
I say this calls for action, and now nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud. But see, again, there is an agenda going on that is going on within certain sections of the U.S. that is wanting more open borders, which then precedes certain type of right immigration, amnesty, and they are going to do another major amnesty very soon. And when they do it, that is done, finished. Doesn't matter what happens anymore related to Black Americans. They never have enough voting to do nothing else. And I've already said because of so many internal problems, so many liabilities, fighting for other types of rights, people's first. Sitting there, people just popped up over nowhere in this country of America, sitting there, and you got Black Americans, numbers of them fighting for other people's rights first. You got to be sick in the mind to fight for somebody else's rights who couldn't care nothing about anything dealing with Black Americans. But this is the kind of blatant disrespect and disregard. And they look at Black Americans and say, those stupid Negroes collectively. They are sick people modern day. They are sick. They're expected to vote for a politicalness ideology without asking for anything in return, but however saying no to the person that will fight for immigration rights, will fight for border break illegal immigrant rights, will fight for sanctuary cities. But then when you sit there and say, hey, what are y'all going to do for Black Americans since you want Black Americans to vote? What are y'all going to do? This, hold on, let me show what they're going to do. Give me a second. Where'd it go? Well, where did they go? Give me a second. Give me a moment. Let me show you what they'll do. Where'd it go? All right, where did my video go? Give me a moment. Oh, this is irritating. Well, I'm trying this one last time. Give me one moment. I'm trying to show you what they're going to do. They be like, yo, Negroes. But watch this. This is what they more up. Look at that. Just jumping out this. This is what they want Black Americans to fight for overall. Because you can't stop some numbers of gullible, naive ones. But this is what they want even more Black Americans to fight for this. Do you understand that? Do you think Black Americans can go across whatever border, another country, break immigration laws, and their political figures, entities that they said you're going to sit there and put Black Americans first or break some immigration law some other country? Are you crazy? What the? Look at this. But regardless, this is what they want numbers of people in society to fight for. Well, the ones that don't have an agenda. Let's talk about that. Look at that. But that's what they want. Right? Again, what an insult. They like Negroes. That's what we want y'all to vote for, Negroes. Don't ask for nothing of tangibility. Nothing. Fight for sanctuary cities. Fight for immigration rights. Fight for unaccompanied minors that are being used as pawns that are fleeing disturbing little legal immigrant parents or one that are sitting there doing birth tour. I know it's a whole different thing about birth tourism, whole different topic in itself. A disturbing game that they know quite a number of Black Americans still haven't figured that game out. What's going on? Right? Now I'm going to show you another video about however politicalness and how many feel just like this. Talk about, oh my goodness. No, we got to end qualified mandate. I mean, ICE, anti-ICE. We got to fund ICE. But at the same time, but all these other years when Bad Seed's been doing black pain toward Black Americans, Bad Seed versions. Oh, you can't be talking about defund enforcement. It's talking about defund the bad ones. Oh, they don't hear about that. But as soon as you start talking about defund ICE, oh, yeah. Oh, they want some of that. They want defund ICE. Do you see the game of that? See, that's why collectively, modern day, many people don't have no respect for Black Americans collectively. Right? Now, look at this for a second. Border break illegal immigrant accused of New York dumpster rob. Captured on Texas bus as he fled toward the southern border. Today is May the 8th, 2028. I just wanted to show you this particular quick picture additionally, because this is an article in itself, but I want to read you this other article a little bit. I like this other article a little bit more, but just look at this little demon gorilla punk tonkins. He robbed another male, an intoxicated male, this border breaker illegal immigrant, but you got people fighting for this chronic, nonsensical pop chaka dung tail. Do you see someone's problem with this? There's a major problem with that. Now, right, I want to show you that part. Now, but again, I'm like this. This is ridiculous. Now, okay. Main article I'm talking about. Published April 27, 2026. Honduran border breaker illegal immigrant, Violent Rapa's Honduran national, charged with violent rap and assault of a stranger. The defendant, this Cretan border breaker illegal immigrant, allegedly beat the victim and left him for unalived outside Amityville restaurant. And it's part of Suffolk County, New York, such and such entity. Today announced that Jose Ignacio Bonilla Garcia, 32, an Honduran border breaker illegal immigrant national, was indicted for rape in the first degree and assault in the second degree for allegedly robbing an unconscious man behind a dumpster outside of a restaurant in Amityville and then violently beating him when he tried to resist. Accountability for perpetrators of sexual violence is not just a legal obligation. It certainly has nothing to do with a gender, by the way, but also a moral one, said such and such entity. Such an office will do everything in its power to ensure that those who commit such heinous acts are held accountable. However, on that part, keep going on that one. According to the investigation, March 27, 2026, at approximately 11:43 p.m., the border breaker illegal immigrant defendant, Violent Cretan, arrived at Esperanza Deli Cafe in Amityville, where the allegedly first encountered the victim. At approximately 4 a.m., the defendant 4 o'clock a.m., the defendant and the victim left the restaurant separately and had a conversation outside. During the exchange, the victim, who was intoxicated, suddenly collapsed. Subsequently, the defendant allegedly dragged the unresponsive victim behind a dumpster at the rear of the location where he allegedly robbed him. During the sexual assaultness, the victim regained consciousness and attempted to fight off this border breaker illegal Cretan defendant. But during the sexual assault, the victim regained consciousness and attempted to fight off this border breaker illegal immigrant defendant. What a crock on words. But the defendant allegedly punched the victim and beat him with a large piece of wood until the victim became unresponsive once again. Following the assault, the defendant allegedly fled the location and left the victim bloody and battered in the parking lot. The victim was discovered hours later by a delivery driver who called the three numbers. He was transported to Good Samaritan Hospital, where he was treated for his injuries and received a sexual assaultness examination, for which forensic evidence was recovered. You know what that means, right? He robbed him. He put his pink thing inside this guy's analness. He robbed him. He robbed this male. Addition to the investigation revealed surveillance footage which allegedly captured the vicious rape of the unresponsive victim and subsequently assault. In the aftermath of the incident, members of the such and such county enforcement worker, members of this entity to identify and locate the defendant. After determining the identity of this border break illegal immigrant, violent cretin, it was learned that the defendant allegedly fled the jurisdiction on a Greyhound bus. He was apprehended by such and such entity at Rosenberg, Texas, allegedly heading in the direction of the southern border. Therefore, thereafter, following coordination with multiple law enforcement agencies, including such and such person, the border break illegal immigrant Rapist defendant was extradited back to Suffolk County. I just want to stop right there. But at the same time, this is what they want people to sit there and defend. The ones who are trying to do this, I extremely find it very highly offensive on that. See, already in some various parts of society, men that get robbed is already minimized as it is. But for a border break illegal immigrant to rob that helpless male was dastardly and unforgivable. Do you understand? But you have someone like Howard, section of Howard politicalness, that'll make excuses for these people. The ones applies to organizations that make excuses because they have a vetted interest of having no matter what type of border break illegal immigrants, because there's a voting block, there's organizationalness of membership, there's all types of agendas that's geared toward getting as many border break illegal immigrants out of the United States. And they say those silly Negroes have no idea what we are doing. They have no idea. Give me 1 second. I'm trying this video here. And I'm closing the show after this. Give me 1 moment here. This is so ridiculous. Here we go. Representative Ayanna Presley introduced a bill to end qualified immunity for ICE agents, but nothing about the bad seeds of the other people who have been doing bad seed stuff to Black Americans for centuries. The bad ones, right? So prior to this Trumpism, where's all these same people are talking about? Oh my goodness, we got to end qualified immunity against these bad seeds, all the stuff they doing to Black Americans. Quiet. Do you understand? And some of these people that have the face of Black are nothing but tetherings. Nothing but tethers. Now there is that few amount of sellout coons and catfish dung type of sit there and sellouts, unfortunately, that don't even realize that they're being used. And no one can truly respect numbers of people in the culture that sit there and use out their own people like that.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in defense of communities across America terrorized by the dangerous, rogue, and violent actions perpetrated by ICE agents. Millions have seen the videos of ICE shooting and killing Renee Good, a poet and mother who was unarmed and trying to drive away.
Do you see this lying piece of snot crap? Renee Good was not leaving. Renee Good sat right there with her bucket-looking face wife, who was instigating, who herself said that she was also instigating. And she was sitting there instigating that ICE agent. She was impeding investigations left and right. Oh, but she makes sure to leave that part out, that she parked right there in front, impeding traffic. But they love leaving that out. Fighting for border break illegal immigrants and stuff like that. Do you understand that?
Following her tragic death at the hands of law enforcement, Republicans rushed to deny the truth and smear the victim, a playbook that has been employed frequently, especially against the Black community. Now
this fool she's gonna bring up the Black community. Do you see? I find that extremely offensive But they know already there's not enough Black Americans that'll call them out, right? And so don't be trying to put Black Americans in your dang mouth when you don't even understand Black Americans. Well, she's Black American. I don't give a damn what her skin color says. Black American's not just a face. And again, there's many of them that have a face that you think they're Black Americans, but they're tethers.
The White House is claiming the ICE agents have immunity from lawsuits enough. That's why I've reintroduced my bill to end qualified immunity to hold federal agents accountable for breaking the law and killing our neighbors. This bill is for Renee Good and so many others, like Keith Porter, a proud girl dad who was killed by an ICE agent in Los Angeles, and Ninko Ganchev from Chicago.
See, don't let them people play these little runaway games. Keith Porter was a Black man. Do you understand? She made sure not to say that word. Keith Porter was a Black man. That New Year's Day or something like that, whatever it was, when he was booming his own equipment. How many other numbers of other Hispanics, numbers of the Caucasians, the ones who do boom into the air a little bit, but they had this person who was supposed to be ICE person, and they sit there and basically didn't. Anyway, I'm going out. The point is that they shot him on that, and then some people say he lied. But the point I'm getting at to you is that was a Black man. And it's interesting how they try to use a Black man for a defund ICE-ness. Do you see how despicable these people are?
Who died in ICE custody after living in the United States for 30 years. This bill is for every person in America, citizen or not, to know that when ICE agents break the law, they should be held accountable. For the families of these victims, Congress must end qualified immunity.
Who are they talking about? You hear they kept talking about ICE. 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 Do you understand that? You'd be like, hey, that sneakily neakness. See, this is why, again, now, yes, there needs to be more Black Americans that need to vote, not just for anything, right? Because you got these sellouts that have put themselves in how political stuff. They are no darn good. You have a better chance to sit there and have a tasty piece of annihilator on the darn ground than to sit there and think some of these political figures give a dang about Black Americans. I ain't talking about some of these sellouts. So a person can go to HELL with that. Because you got some fools. Well, that's Black Americans. How about you go to HELL? See, Black Americans, they look at as fools in a collective way. Right? They think they just say anything to Black Americans collectively. Trump, 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 Trump. But prior to Trump, Biden on that situation had some of the largest also border break illegal immigrants, record breaking also in history. Record breaking, border breaking illegal immigrants were sitting there going across that border before Trump too. Do you see how this goes? And what was going on under Trump? George Floyd, wasn't it? Before Trump? How many other Black Americans have been the victims by bad sea hands that had nothing to do with ICE? Huh? That's a long list. Where's all these political figures jumping up and down saying, oh my goodness, huh? We got to do something about these bad seas. We got to go in qualified immunity, not just talking, ending it. Nope. But they make sure to jump up and down and fall all over the place trying to sit there and fight to end qualified immunity against ICE. Because that's treason. You're going to fight for all these people breaking immigration laws. Do you understand? Be it they violent or not. Can the same type people, I ain't talking about somebody has a gender where that person's parent or parents or immigration personnel, the ones applies to, or border break illegal immigrants, right? And they came across that border, and that one woman had child upon child upon child, besides ones that brought them, some of them over there, over to America, and she bam, 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 automatic citizenship, all for what Black Americans have been fighting for, to be treated as citizens with birthright citizenship. That's still being argued for what reason. It's a 14th Amendment. It's supposed to be, had been for Black Americans. But now you got it's the equal clause that's in general. You got people doing birth. I don't know, that's a whole different topic. People sitting there laughing. What do you mean? This is what they doing when they know numbers of Black Americans, the ones it applies to, are being so naive that people sitting there using the 14th Amendment and laughing in front of millions of Black Americans' face, who, without very few exceptions. He said those silly Negroes don't understand. But many of them gonna go to vote, and none of them should. But to sit there and vote for nothing is a vote for naiveness. To vote for nothing is a vote for naiveness. You got however numbers of political people, they're not sitting there demanding numbers of these other groups vote for them. Do you understand that? A particular Harvard ideology, they're not demanding these other groups. They're not demanding, hey, border break illegal immigrants, we got you over here, we need to vote for us. Oh, I forgot they ain't supposed to vote. Hey, immigration folks, left and right, you know what? We'll be helping y'all come over here. And how many of them vote for Republicans? Oh, but the Negroes, collectively, y'all supposed to vote for the other side across the board without asking for anything in return. What an insult. Do you understand? And I don't think nothing is going to collectively help modern day Black Americans collectively. It's too many internal problems. It's too many. Too many Black Americans ignoring what's going around. Too much sitting there acting as if, well, you just have to work hard. Border break illegal immigrants ain't thinking about y'all. Ones who are saying that bull. Immigration person ain't thinking about y'all. The silent gullibles. They sitting there saying, you dumb Negroes, we come over here to your country and we get these loans and grants and border break illegal immigrants going to numbers of colleges for free and all these different things going for them. These stupid Negroes walk around talking about just work hard. That's a sickness. It's a sickness.
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
See, it should be beyond more than that. To nip these border break illegal immigrants in the bud. But unfortunately, there is not enough true Black American politicalness in the politicalness sphere. And the system knows it. It's a lot more immigrationists, the bad version. It's a lot more people that are sitting there fighting for border break illegal immigrants. It's too many that have etched themselves in politicalness that are tethers. There are Harvard numbers that just popped over here in a blink of history in America. That person's parents came over in the 80s, the 90s. I'm just giving an example. They get up there and how politicalness once applies to. They sit there and say, okay, we got to make sure we got to help our immigration folks. Do you understand? Now, we're telling Negroes anything. How many numbers of border break illegal immigrants, right? No such thing as Black and brown. And they put these little certain type of Hispanicism and certain type of Asians, the ones applies to, because it's cast as Asianness. People tell Black Americans that you ain't supposed to have your uniqueness, but no one tells these other people that same thing. They put in themselves in political positions and getting laws passed and policies to try to help out their own people. Immigration groups, border break illegal immigrant entities, pseudo, non-pseudo. You get the point. You get the point, right? But when some dealing with Black Americans in the collective way, you got people act like they start doing this.
Exit station left.
Do you understand? And again, you cannot get any kind of respect in any kind of collective from no other cultures, or background, etc. in America. When they sit there and look at collective Black Americans and say, those some stupid Negroes, they'll sit there and argue down one another while every day border break illegal immigrants are still coming to America. And they still got them thinking that, oh, Trump, Trump, and they still don't get it. There are so many other ways for border break illegal immigrants to come to America. Do you understand? And people talking about, oh, we got to defund ICE. But again, you start looking at Black Americans prior to Trump, last administration. Do you understand? What was going on? Black pain that was still going on. And what did I hear some Biden saying? That if you don't know who to vote for, Trump and the Biden part situation, then you ain't Black. When Kamala was like, she ain't gonna do anything for the specific, basically Black people. But at the same time, however, numbers of immigration stuff, they have no problem with doing stuff for them. They have none problem with doing numbers of alternative lifestyle categories. You get the point I'm getting at. But when it's dealing with Black Americans in a collective way, most people don't respect Black Americans in a collective way. It's a coolness to try to pick up certain type of what they think is Black swag. Do you understand? But that's just for cool points. But the collectiveness, most people don't respect Black Americans in a modern day because it's like, man, now maybe 50 years ago, especially or like the 60s type of Black Americans where they were truly about something, and even slightly piece of 90s where their Black empowerment was existing a little bit more. Oh, yeah. But the system says, they be a doggy dog, 2 times of a two-tail toenail polish. That they'll ever let Black Americans get that kind of pride that they had at least a little bit more in the 90s. And they said we will flood the various parts of the U.S. with border break illegal immigrants, which we're doing right on time. We will allow these people to play people of color, minority games with Black Americans. We allow people to sit there and do this Black and brown nonsense to Black Americans as if numbers of Black Americans don't have brown skin. We have people tell you, oh my goodness, what are you going to do about this anti-Asian hate crime? You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? But they don't talk about the numbers of Asians that have shown hatred to Black Americans in America, the ones it applies to. And what does an Asian person look like? Asia's a continent. But you see the game they keep playing. You see how this game goes. But the number one most hated group in America is not Asians. Again, it's an insult to even say Asians. There's Afro-Asian. There's however other tribes, other ethnicities in Asia. Armenia is an Asian country. Iraq is an Asian country. Indonesia is an Asian country. Parts of Russia is an Asian country. They don't walk. Do you call them Asians? Of course not. But you see the game they run upon Black Americans talking about Asians. Well, numbers of Asians who can't stand other Asians. But they'll run this game toward Black Americans talking about Asians. Do you understand this? But you don't hear about talking about brown and yellow coalition like that. Or yellow and red, what we call wink wink Native Americans. What that's supposed to mean, because they don't talk about the $5 Indian versions. Do you understand that game? Do you understand? You got people running games all over the place. Alternative lifestyle category games, stuff like that. Oh my goodness, they anti-illness, genius, Venus, Q. You were talking about less than 50 years ago, there was no such thing as that acronym. People. A lot of people run games. And they don't talk about what about the illness and the black illness genus being it's a whole different topic. But what about then to get racial discrimination by certain ones within those categories within certain Anglo-ness? Oh, they don't talk about that. See, the game's gone so many different places toward Black Americans in general that they know most Black Americans collective had no clue about these games that are being played. And his topic today, in finishing this disturbing piece of pig knocktails, to sit there and have these people basically levitating Black Americans' face talking about basically you got to protect this kind of cretin who is the rapist of a male. This is sad. This is a sad thing. The fighting for border illegal immigrants like this one that did what they did and then try to escape back across that border. This is ridiculous. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud. I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.